What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Supes. My name is Ande, and to the left of me, I
And
have
I'm Ed from Ways of the Sith. What's going on, everybody?
what's going on, everybody. Hope everybody has had a productive week, and this week is a very eventful one for sure. A lot of things going on. We got the Knights of the Seven Kingdoms that we're going to be talking about today. Our reactions to this last episode that was crazy. We have some stuff with the Mando and Glory and Grogu, and just a couple other things that just been amazing. Just want to say real quick, if you're listening to this again, just remember to hit that subscribe button and the like and all of our socials. That's Ande on Instagram. Then there's Ways of the Sith on Instagram as well. Make sure you subscribe to both of those. And then also on our YouTube pages as well.
Yeah, please
Links
do.
for everything
We
should be in
appreciate
our
all the
bios for
support
these
and
videos.
all the comments and the people checking it out. It's been cool to see more and more people checking out episodes per week.
Yeah,
it's been
definitely.
pretty
I've been
awesome.
noticing. I'm seeing the growth. I'm genuinely surprised, and I'm loving the feedback. Everybody that's been has been hollering at us. Kudos to you
Everyone
and
I everyone I
keeping it.
talk to, I'm like, just give it a chance. We're still getting in. We're only like 5-6 episodes deep so far. So like, don't give up yet. We're still working on it. We're
Yeah,
still trying to get the method down. But I feel like we're getting there every week. So thank you
right.
guys for tuning in.
No, most definitely. So, with further ado, let's get right into it. We got our first, well, not our first, but we got the latest episode of Knights of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 5. We're going straight off of Dunk getting ready to enter the tournament with our boy at the end. Was it Sir Baylor? I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
Coming in and
Baylor Targaryen.
what is it?
Baylor Targaryen.
Baylor. All right. Whew, I've been saying that all day. I was like, man, I'm gonna get it wrong as soon as I freaking get on the pod.
Yeah. So
But
so what was we yeah, last week we ended like we talked about it and touched upon it. He showed up to be Dunk's seventh in the tournament and like set off this chain of events. We got the first drop of the Game of Thrones music at the end, which to
yes,
me
hype.
was just like I made a joke online. I was like, like you ever see the girls post the meme about like the Shania Twain song, like when they hear the "Let's go, girls," they feel like they can like kick through a wall and just like take off and go.
Yeah.
I felt like that when I heard the Game of Thrones theme drop finally. Like you get the little build up, right? Like as Baylor comes riding out, and then you're just like, oh shit, like this is gonna be awesome. And then he's like, I will fight by Sir Duncan's side, and they're the theme drops right as before Dunk rides off. So like starting this episode off, I'd rather hear like your immediate reaction coming out of this first because I read the book, so I knew what was coming, and I didn't want to spoil what was coming for people because, like I said, for me, I felt like if you did get attached to these characters in this short amount of time, I feel like it was almost like a surprise, like the Red Wedding for you when it was all said and done, like by the end of this episode. So how did you feel like in the scope of things and how this whole episode played out?
So there's levels to it because, and I also have questions as well because some people, like for example, to talk on what you just said about the theme song stuff, I get that 1000% because
Mm-hmm.
that is just like it reminds me of like when Falcon comes through the portal and he's like on your left, Cap,
Yeah.
and then you hear
Yep.
like the little like Avenger music starting to heat up and all that. So it was that same scenario for me. So I was definitely hyped for that. But regarding this episode, I was there was a lot of stuff that went down. I was curious on who is the lady who is that Dunk was in when he was older. So was that his girlfriend or is that just like a sister or something to that extent?
When he was younger, you're talking about like the flashback.
Yeah.
So it was a girl that he grew up with in Flea Bottom. So Flea Bottom is, I don't know if you remember from Game of Thrones. I forget his name. Gendry Baratheon, the bastard of the king that was like working in the blacksmith area of King's Landing, and they go to get him. He's got that bull's head helmet and stuff like that, and so like the outskirts of King's Landing, like where the castle is, the poor people live on the out furthest part of the wall, like, and so
Right.
there's different streets. There's like the street of silk, which is all like the silk merchants, and then there's all the brothels and like the whorehouses,
Yeah,
and
no. I remember that
Basically,
from House of Dragons too.
so because they go off in that area in House of Dragons too. Like that's where they end up going to the horror house and get caught and stuff like that. So basically, because like King's Landing's on a hill, all the piss and shit from King's Landing, all the gutters and everything like that, circle their way down to like the poor people in Westeros. So where Dunk is from, he's from the poorest area of Westeros, like in King's Landing. He grew up on the streets, an orphan, and this girl was like his friend and somebody that he loved. So that was an interesting flashback to show. I didn't know how they were going to do that, and I worried at bits and parts of this. Like, I was cool with the way they did it, but I worried for a minute that they were going to spend the whole episode in the flashbacks and basically show you all the way up to him, like his events with Sir Arlen, rather than just showing how he, why he admired Sir Arlen, because Sir Arlen came out of nowhere and saved this kid basically from being killed because he was about to get killed.
Yeah.
And then he tracked him down and followed him basically after that girl got killed. And, he confessed how much he loved her. And both of them were trying to get the hell out of there. That's what they were saving the silver for.
They were just about to leave. And you know what's crazy? I really thought that when she grabbed the dude's knife, right? I thought she was going to turn around and immediately stab him in the back.
Yeah,
but
I thought that too.
She slept on him, bro. And I was just like,
well, she took it.
Why?
She took
why
it as a way of like
stab him.
Because she took it as a way of like, oh, he took our coin, but I took his knife, so I'll sell his knife and we'll get coin off the knife. That's what she was thinking in her mind. And then he realized that his knife was gone right away. So like it wasn't even like a hesitation. And then him to just slit her throat like that, I didn't even see that coming. I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, that was interesting. And I loved how like they showed Sir Arlen, like he comes stumbling out of the place drunk as shit, throwing up all over the place, but he still was a knight defending like his honor. and took that dude's head off. The pigs were eating that dude's head. Like I was so amazed by the way they did this. And like in the books, I love how they've been showing Sir Arlen like in different moments. You even saw him at the end telling Dunk, get up. And like, that's not in the books. That's not something like that's so like I love that they were able to do that in the show medium because it didn't work for the books. You wouldn't have been able to like say that he saw Sir Arlen there, but in the show, in his delusion, he saw Sir Arlen there and told him to get up, and he got up, and oh my god, that battle.
Dude, that battle was brutal, bro. Like I love the POV scenes where you would see it from his point of view looking through the knight's helmet.
A lot of those shots were either through the visor of the knight's, actual armor, or you were mounted on top of the javelins. So as they're riding towards each other, you're getting a first-person camera view of like what it would be like to be on the horse and take this javelin like to the. I was like, oh my god, this is sick. And like especially to do that type of camera work, they did some amazing camera work on the original Game of Thrones. Like when you get Battle of the Bastards and Jon Snow, like getting into battle and that camera where it just pans around him as he's taking dudes down, like that is some of the most amazing camera work I've ever personally seen. So to see it recreated for another Game of Thrones show, I thought that was so awesome. And I love how like Baylor tells him right away, he's like, don't worry about the White Cloaks. They can't harm me. They legally can't touch me. So if I go fight them, you guys are good. Like the rest of you guys can take everybody you have to take, and I'll take the White Cloaks and my brother. Like basically, like they can't touch me.
That brings up a point for me because I got a problem with the Targaryens and the armor that they have. Because to an extent, I feel like it's like cheating because like their shit is just like way too fucking covered, and like compared to everybody else, it's just like there's no chance. I feel like,
and so that's how you see where like the money in Westeros goes. But there's a scene that was cut out from the show that's supposed to take place about an episode or two back. You know where Dunk goes to get his armor from Steely Pete? Steely Pete. Yeah. He's supposed to be a little bit more involved in this season than they actually had him in the show. He was more involved in this finale, obviously. Like he's there at the last moments, and he's obviously in Dunk's corner and wants to help them however he can. And he obviously fashions armor for the Apple guy that got knighted last episode. Like, he all of a sudden had like some quick armor to throw on, which I was wondering if that was Sir Arlen's armor, because Dunk did give him Sir Arlen's armor, didn't he? But did he melt that down to make Dunk's armor, or did he just kind of hold on to that other armor?
I think he melted it down.
Okay, so
yeah,
Apple Dude had armor, even though he just got knighted. He had chainmail that he was putting on, like, before he got ready to fight. So that was the difference. Is like, you see how the rich and the powerful, they can take these blows from these different weapons and stuff like that a little bit better than like somebody like Dunk, who was literally just wearing chainmail and like some coverings. My man got cut the fuck up. Like, he took so many stabs. He took that javelin in the opening scene. He takes the javelin right to the chest, and like, he's pulling a shard of the javelin out of his stomach, and then fights the rest of the fight, bleeding out from that. He gets cut in the eye. He gets stabbed with the sword all over the place. Like, my man got
he is literally
up in
fighting
this fight.
for his freaking life, dude. Like, that man was just trying to fight for his life. Like, but, oh my God, that was insane.
So like I was saying with this line from the book, Steely Pete makes a thing, like when he gives Dunk his helmet, Dunk's basically like, why is there not a visor on it? And Steely Pete basically explains to him, like, I build the visor into the helmet because if I make it a separate piece, it weakens the whole helmet. And it's an important line because as we get to the end of the episode, the first thing Baylor says is, my visor is gone. I lost the visor. And then you kind of get the hint of like the integrity of the helmet was compromised when that visor went. And then you get the big reveal at the end. But I don't want to get there yet because I'd rather continue to talk about the tournament first and like what takes place and how that goes. So I love Egg in this. Like, oh my God, my man, at the opening of the tournament when he's like, Sir Duncan, do good. And then he looks back at him and he reiterates the line that he said to him from episode 2, where he's like, if you make off with my shit, I'm going to hunt you down. And he goes, with dogs? And he barks at him this time. I love that moment, man. This kid is so great. And I love the chemistry with the two of them so much. Like, they really make this show.
Yeah, that kid and his energy is just really attractive. And
him just yelling from the sidelines, like, get up. And then he was about to blow the horn and sound like the thing was over, and he stops it. And because Egg is Egg, he's got a little bit more clout where, like, he can stop that horn from blowing and they have to listen to him. That's a royal command. You know what I mean? So, like,
yo, that's crazy, right?
I love that, though. I love seeing Sir Arlen. And I love, like, he cut Arian right at the groin, and Arian starts bleeding out. And you see his father start rushing over, and he's like, my boy. And he tries to go take Sir Dunk, but then the other two cut him off and hold him back from basically, like, coming at Dunk. And, like, I love that moment because, like, yeah, what are you going to do now? Your boy who, like, started this whole shit is bleeding out now, got cut in the groin. Like, he could seriously, like, bleed out to death, but because he's got the armor and stuff like that.
When he cut him down there, I was like, oh, okay, so that's where the weak spot is. Because, like I said, like, I'm looking at the armor, and I'm like, how is he gonna cut this dude? Like, this is like dragon made fucking armor. Like, where are you?
And the scales and the spikes and everything like that. But that's like the difference. Is like Dunk has armor that can withstand the blows and could withstand the dueling, close quarters. For higher borns like that have all this fancy armor, there's gaps in the armor because, you're making this fancy thing. So, yeah, you basically have to look for the gaps in the shoulders, the gaps at the legs, the gaps at the knees, the gaps at the back of the ankles, like, or the neck. And, like, where Arian had that high collar that kind of protected his neck. So I love that, and I love Arian, like, thinking that he had him done. He's, like, yelling at him, yield, but Dunk can't hear because his hearing's fucking shot at this point.
Yo, I love that they actually added that to the scene, bro. Like, that made it so much more engaging, and I was just like, Dunk is the realest dude in Nebraska right now because how the hell, like, how is he doing all this right now? Like,
and then when Arian gets him in the eye, that's the real thing, because, like, he doesn't stab Dunk in the eye. Dunk's visor is too small for Arian to get the blade through. So it's almost just like a like a poke, but with the top of the knife to like swell Dunk's eye. So it makes it harder for him to see, obviously, because once he takes the helmet off, you see that his eye's like immediately blown up. And so like, I love that. And I love, you know, him being down, picking up the sword, and Arian thinking that he had it. Arian's like, all right, this motherfucker's down. Like, I won. Blow the horn. And then you hear Egg like, no, he's not done. And fucking he gets up, and Arian just looks, and he's like, fuck me. And he turns around. He goes to pick up that sword again. And then, like, I love how Dunk's like, because Dunk's obviously bleeding out from multiple wounds. Like, his swinging is just pure strength at this point. You see it, like, it's wild swings. They're not accurate, but because he's so strong and so big, it's that adrenaline that kicks in where he just overpowers him. And then Arian tries with the shield, and he just holds down the one arm, breaks that, holds down the other arm, and then just takes the shield and just starts pounding him in the fucking face with it. It's so great. And then finally gets him to yield.
You know what I love about that scene too is the fact that, like, as that's all going on, they're showing you the POV, and you see everybody else fighting around you and shit like that. Like, that shit was crazy.
And you actually see what happens to Baylor in those motions. You actually see the shot that Baylor takes from the mace of his brother. Like,
did you think Honey Buckle or Honey Bee, whatever, was gonna go down like that?
So yeah, because he was the one that I think was missing the like, he was the one that what do you call it?
That had the broken his horse stabbed, right?
Yeah, he was the one that had the broken leg. So like, to see him go, he basically said, and they killed each other, they said, on the opening charge. So both of them died like on the opening charge. They both speared each other, and that was it. But I love that. I loved seeing Baratheon in the battle, and I love Baratheon talking a little bit of shit to Baylor at the beginning. Like, Baylor's giving this big speech trying to rally everybody, and Baratheon's just like, yeah, you know, must suck being the one who's loved by the mother, and, you know, making that little comment. Yeah. So I love that. And then Maegor, like, ends up delivering the fatal blow that ends up killing Baylor at the end. And the king who never was, the king who everybody wanted to see become king. Like, even Dunk at the end, Dunk's on his knees.
So, hold on.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's dead. I saw him fall to the ground, and I see he has the gas.
Okay, from that. So you need to go back and rewatch that So basically, what you're meant to insinuate off this whole scene and the way this scene plays out, right? Baylor comes into the tent after the fight. The fight's over. The horn got sounded. Dunk won. Dunk won the fight. It's over. The trial is done. There's no more punishment for Dunk. He won. Arian's getting shipped off to fucking Essos by his father now. Like, that's what's going to happen to him. And then eventually, I don't think this is part of the show, so I guess I can talk about, like, what happens to Arian now. He ends up getting shipped over to Essos and basically lives the rest of his life in Essos. He tries to come back here to Westeros at one point to make a claim for the throne, and in the process, he drinks dragon fire, thinking that it's going to make him a dragon in human form, and basically he burns from the inside out and dies. So that's what happens to that little shit. He does get his payback at some point. But so it's not a spoiler. You will see Maegor send him away, I think, in the finale, because that's kind of like what happens in the next, you know, episode. But it's not an important thing. It's just kind of like, oh, that's what happens to that character. He gets shipped the fuck off. But yeah, so
without saying anything, can you tell? Does the book end, and the way how you think the show may end? We'll leave it off in a way where you know where it might be heading into season 2.
Yes. So season 2 is going to be a whole different adventure. But before we talk about season 2, I'd rather talk about like this how this plays out. He comes into the tent.
I just want to ask that question. We don't.
I'll touch on that for what you can expect for season 2 of this show, because it's a totally different story, but it plays off these events and continues to kind of piggyback off what takes place here. So Baylor comes into the tent, tells them that, you know, they've won. Dunk immediately gets down on one knee and is proclaiming, like, I want to be your knight, sir. Like, you fought for me. You volunteered to be part of my team. I volunteer my service to you. Like, you're the next king of Westeros. I want to be one of your knights now. And Baylor's like, okay, you know, that's great. You know, everything's great. But you could tell that something's wrong. And, like, he's not talking correctly. There's some things that, like, he's saying, and he's just like, Yeah, and you can
Oh,
see that he's
yeah,
missing the
exactly.
visor of his helmet.
That's why I was like, what's he's like being really like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so this armor wasn't his armor. In the books, he's got his armor. In the show, they had him use his son's armor for this battle. So that could play into like why this all took place and happened the way it did a little bit more. But in the books, he has a different helm that's like a dragon head, which looks badass. He's got like wings coming off the back of it. It's sick. But
Okay.
so in this, obviously, he makes a comment about the visor being removed during the fight, and like it compromised the integrity of the helmet. Like I said, that's what Steely Pete makes reference to earlier in the novels. That the line was left out from the show, but it's part of the novels.
Right.
You basically see that Magar took a swing at Baylor and hit him in the back of the head, and basically his mace cracked Baylor's skull in the back of his head. And so his whole skull is impounded into the back of his head. And he says, yeah, can you help me get my helm off? My fingers feel like wood. And like, when he says that, you got to kind of already know what's going to take place. And basically, once they go to remove the helmet, they see that the whole back of the helmet's caved in. And when they pull it off, what was holding his skull in was the helmet. Basically, the only reason he was still alive and walking around was because the helmet was keeping the back of his skull in his head. Once the helmet was taken off, his skull basically just goes, and that's it. That like it's already caved in, it's already gone. So he's dead as a doornail at that point. So now, the next king of Westeros, the guy everybody wants to see become king, dies in this tournament. So basically, now you have all of the ramifications of that play out from this. So, obviously he was next in line. Now that he's dead, Magar becomes next in line. So Egg's father now is next in line for the throne. That puts Egg in line for the throne now because Magar is in line for the throne. So you see how the trajectory of things change now because there's a new heir. Aerion, like I said, Aerion gets sent off to Essos, which is the other part of the world in the Game of Thrones universe, if you're not familiar with that. And basically, Bloodraven is the other character that will be appearing in season 2 and 3. Brandon Rivers, who is the three-eyed raven, three-eyed crow from the books of Game of Thrones, he's the one that teaches Bran how to use the gifts of how to use the trees and talk through the ravens and do all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. He's a Targaryen. He's Brandon Rivers. He's actually Egg's uncle. And he and Egg... He basically serves as like a steward of the realm. So while Magar eventually becomes, next in line to take the throne, Bloodraven kind of oversees the kingdom, and he's trying to curb the Blackfires. So the Blackfires were talked about in this episode. In that flashback, that battle scene outside of King's Landing where all those people were dead, those were the Blackfires.
That's what. I'm glad you just brought it up because I was going to ask about because I was confused about that whole scene.
So that is the first Blackfire rebellion. So in Game of Thrones, in the history, there's another Aegon that comes before the Egg we know. It's Aegon the Second, I believe, or Aegon they call him Aegon. So
he's
basically,
the one with the blonde hair, right, and the crown or whatever that they've been teasing forever.
Well, they all have blonde hair for the most part. But
I know, that was stupid for me to say.
Yeah, he's So what happens is he has a bunch of bastard kids, and because this is after the Dance of Dragons, and the dragons have all kind of been killed out and taken, he's not a fan of his son, who is the rightful heir to the throne. So instead of letting his son take the throne, he decides to legitimize all of his bastards, and his bastards basically become the Blackfires, and they adopt that name of the so it's another sect of the Targaryens that basically split off, and you have the bastard Targaryens, which are the Blackfires, and then you have the actual Targaryens. And they basically,
at that time, all the dragons are still around, right?
No, the dragons were starting to die out at that point. The dragons were pretty much done by that point, so that's why. And he basically gives his illegitimate son the sword of Aegon the Conqueror, which in everybody's eyes makes you the true ruler. You're the true Targaryen if you have that sword that Aegon the First came over with. So basically by legitimizing all of these bastards, he creates a war within the Targaryens. So they basically have another round of infighting after the Dance of Dragons now with these two, the bastards and the legitimates. And basically that's what you see in the opening is Dunk's basically picking the bodies of the Blackfires that all got killed at the battle. And so he's picking the stuff off, and we're going to see the second Blackfire Rebellion as part of Season 2 and Season 3 of the show. So Brandon Rivers plays a big part of that. We're get to see Aemon Targaryen, who's Egg's brother, who's from the original Game of Thrones. The Meister, he goes to the Citadel and becomes a Meister and ends up at the Wall with Jon and Sam. And we also get to see little baby Walder Frey. He's the one that executes the Red Wedding in the show. He's just a little baby in this next season that's going to come up. So pretty cool. Those are going to be the 3 characters that like still survive all the way, obviously, until Game of Thrones happens, which is about another 100 years or so from now. So it should be cool. I'm really looking forward to how they do the second season. It's a little bit more expansive. There's a little bit more lore that kind of comes into play, especially with like the Blackfires and all that. But I really, really am excited to see how it plays out.
This show has been the best thing in television. I just seen recently that it has the highest gross. This episode has the highest grossing ratings on any TV show. It's higher than fucking not Walking Dead. What's the show? Breaking Bad. That I just had to let me get you the real stuff because I just had it here.
Yeah, I know. I know. Last week's episode was the highest, third highest rated show for HBO altogether, like ever premiere wise. It was 9.8, I think, when it was all said and done by everybody on Rotten Tomatoes and all the different places, IMDb. So really, really cool to see the success of this show. I know season 2's pretty much almost done being filmed, if not already done being filmed. So it'll be a quick turnaround. We should have season 2 going into next year at some point. The idea behind this show was to do it at a smaller scale so that they could continue to have a season every year. And based off everything, there's 3 Dunk and Egg novellas that are out now. It gives George R.R. Martin 2 more years, roughly, to get out the other 3 to 4 novellas that he wanted to publish. So hopefully that'll happen, and then we can continue to get more Dunk and Egg. Because like I said, I know the showrunner said that he would love to take like a 10-year hiatus, allow the characters to age naturally, and then come back. But in all realism, HBO's not going to go for that. They're going to either say, you either got to keep making the show or we're done making the show. It's going to be one or the other.
Especially with this. They have a 9 point. So this episode got a 9.8, and I guess that is the highest of any TV show right now, or episode right now. And
they've done a phenomenal job.
They think they're going to take a 10-year hiatus after these ratings. They must be out of fucking mind.
and I think that's going to be the unfortunate thing is like they're going to have to recast Egg. Like Dunk, they can dress up with makeup unless they go cast a new Dunk too. I hope they don't. Like I would rather them just prosthetically make Dunk look older if that's the case. Let him. I think that's why the actor's been growing his hair out so long lately, because as Dunk gets older, his hair starts getting longer. Because by the time he becomes a Kingsguard, he's got like a ponytail and his hair's like long. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what they're going to do, is like eventually just dress him up in prosthetics and recast Egg at some point. But that would be unfortunate because this actor who plays Egg is just so good and does such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, man. Like I said, just final thoughts. This episode had me up on my toes the whole time. I was watching it in the car because I was out and about, and I was just like, the emotions, like, oh my god, this episode was a shit. And TV needed this because we haven't had anything this exciting in some fucking time. So I was really
the fact that it was true emotion. Like I actually, just in the short amount of time you've been watching this show, I feel like they've done a phenomenal job making you care about these characters. And like you felt like did you see like during the battle the prostitute that stood up and was like, yeah, when he knocks Aryan down, and then the other guy's like looking at her like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that just like makes the show fun, and like you felt like her in that moment, like, fuck yeah, Dunk, you finally got him fucking down, like go kick his ass. And like Oh man, I love the show. I think they did such a great job with the show, and I'm just so excited to continue to see where this goes, and what they do going forward.
Yeah, so definitely. I can't wait till um it's a final episode, and whenever they bring us in season two, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and
Um,
and I'm guessing like next week's pretty much just going to be the fallout from this. Like I said, you'll see Magar kind of punish his kid. You'll kind of see how Egg continues to be in service to Dunk because now Magar basically owes Dunk a debt. Like, my brother died in your sacrifice, and I was the one who killed him by accident. So, like, all of this took place because of my shithead son. And now, like, if you want to take my other son, go ahead. Like, he's going to be your squire, and I want him to be your squire. And that's kind of like the conversation they have in the next episode, which is cool. And then that kind of sets them on their adventure, and the goal in the novellas is they're trying to make their way to Winterfell eventually, but the novellas haven't gotten us there yet. They've like inched their way up from where they are now at Deepwood Mott. The
the
next
books
book
aren't
takes.
still going on right now, right?
So there's only three. They're short stories. They're like less than 100-page stories. So they're not long. But there's a version of the book out now that you can buy that has all three novellas like collected in one edition. So it's a 300-page book. You can get through it literally in like 2 days, just burning through it.
Yeah.
They're great stories, and you get to see what happens like with Dunk and Egg. And like I said, the end of their story you read about in Fire and Blood. You can see that in the history book too from Westeros. But George does have plans for more stories, and he's told the showrunner already what those stories are. So either way, we're either going to get George putting out more short stories because these are characters that he really loves writing. Or we're going to have another Game of Thrones situation where the showrunner is going to eventually continue past the point of the books. And that could go either way, but I feel like with this showrunner, he's done such a good job staying loyal to George and like keeps reiterating in all his interviews, like he's aware of George's history with the past two showrunners. Like George had bad blood with the Game of Thrones writers, and now he's got bad blood with the House of Dragons creator. So I think this guy really is doing this as a service to George and just showing him like, hey, I'm a fan of these books. I love these books, and I want to adapt them properly. And I feel like that's what you should be doing in any case when you're adapting novels or a writer that already wrote the books. Like, you have the material. It should be a layup to do the show at this point. You don't need to take liberties. And I understand some stuff from TV and the transition of like page to screen, but taking like full things and leaving out characters and disregarding full storylines that are important things in the book kind of does a disservice to the fans and the people who are invested in the show. And that even goes for that Wheel of Time show that I was watching. Like, the showrunner apparently took a lot of liberties with the show, and look, the show got canceled, unfortunately. So like, it's stuff like that you got to know what you're doing when you're taking these properties and adapting them. I know everyone's looking for that next Game of Thrones and what they can adapt to make the money and get the ratings, but if you do it right, like look at God of War, for example. God of War is doing this casting right.
Talk about it.
Doing all of these things right leading up to the show. Now, if the show is fantastic on top of it, we won. It's peak. You know what I mean? Like, that's that's all you can ask for when you have people who absolutely love the source material doing these things. Like, it becomes a passion project rather than just...
I'm a diehard GOW fan, so I'm walking out for all that shit. So
I think it's unfortunate.
Like,
I don't want to get off topic and talk about the God of War show too much. We talked about it last week. I do think it's interesting, though, that they're skipping the Greek mythology stuff and they're going right for the Norse mythology stuff. Hopefully that means, like, if the two seasons of the Norse mythology stuff do well, maybe they go back and do the prequel of, like, the Greek stuff. But I feel like you're going to be missing bits and chunks of the overall story of Kratos not doing the Greek stuff. But I'm interested to see how that all plays out, once we get there.
Well, I only could see them doing it because it's what's most recent, and because of how cinematic PlayStation has been with it.
Yeah. And speaking of things that we talked about, These motherfuckers at Star Wars, man.
Oh, we're gonna go there. Okay. Yeah,
so
man. They
so
freaking
we were
announced
talking.
the trailer for
Yeah, we
tomorrow.
we were talking about how we did not get a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer during the Super Bowl. We were expecting it. There was a lot of backlash. There was
Yo,
actually,
I
I don't know if
swear.
you saw, there was an article that came out from the people who do the rundown. They basically review analytics. They review trends and searches after the Super Bowl, and basically like
Oh, I did hear this. Yes.
they rank the basically how the Super Bowl ads did for each company based off
Right.
all of that data that comes in, and Star
Yeah.
Wars and Mandalorian ranked the least out of 41 different things. Out of 41 different things that aired during the Super Bowl, Mandalorian and Grogu was number 41. They
Oh, I thought it
didn't.
was 54.
Maybe it was even lower. I know it was
But, I mean,
it was the
we're on the
lowest
same
rated
ballpark.
thing. It was the lowest rated thing out of the entire Super Bowl. It didn't garner enough attention and
Right.
didn't garner clicks and views like they thought it was going to. So it's natural that now they're going to announce that, hey, we're going to drop the trailer because everyone was asking for the trailer and now we're going to do it. So tomorrow they're going to be dropping the trailer. Me and Ande have not talked about how we're going to address this, whether we do like a quick little hop on episode just to talk about the trailer or we save it for next episode. But either way, if we do something for the trailer, we'll make sure to put it up on the feed so that you guys can listen to it and watch it, obviously. But do you have like, I know we talked about what we thought the movie might be, what we hoped things would be included. Do you have any kind of thing that like you're hoping to see in this trailer tomorrow? Like one thing that like stands out to you, like I really want to see this.
The one thing that I want out of this trailer is to at least know what the fuck the story is. Because all I know is that it's a Grogu and Mandalorian movie, and we talked about some people that might be in it. But like really, I just want to get a gist of what this movie is and why it's important to be a movie. Like the only thing I got out of this movie since it's been announced was that little like that teaser thing where he takes down like the walker, the AT
AT.
whatever fucking
Yeah.
machine. And that was it, and that was a leak. So I was already like been teased on this already, that it's been like we're getting like, isn't it like 2 or 3 months till this movie's actually supposed to come out, and
Yeah,
we're now just getting a
comes
trailer
out,
for
it comes out
this?
at the end of May, so we're gonna get this movie in like 3 months, give or take.
That's crazy.
and
Like I
yeah.
don't understand why it's been so long.
And the trailer that was out originally, like we talked about last week, was 2 years old. Like that trailer was from Star Wars Celebration 2 years ago in Japan. So
Right.
they have not shown any new footage yet for this. There was a special. We're going to talk about Toy Fair and cover stuff from Toy Fair later in the episode, but there was a panel that they did Friday. I think it was either Thursday night or Friday night where it was Jon Favreau. He sat down and did like a little interview. They showed some clips, they showed some merch, and they showed some stuff from the Mandalorian movie. They had a lot of displays, costumes, different things like that were all people could view. They did reveal a character that seems very interesting. It's basically a battle droid from like the original prequel trilogy, you know, like those battle droids and the gliders that they had. It almost looks like a battle droid in Mandalorian armor with like a battle droid mask. So I'm interested to see, like, is that going to be the villain? It's a mystery character. Nobody knows who this character is, what they really are. It was just shown off in the toys. So immediately speculation went rampant of, like, who is this guy? He looks kind of cool. Like, it's a kind of a cool design. There is a droid that's later on in the sequel trilogy called Mr. Bones that is an old BD droid that somebody, like, repurposes. And basically it's a murder droid. So it's like a killing droid that works with the rebellion, which is cool, and the only thing he says is Mr. Bones. So I'm not sure, maybe this is a redesign of that character. Like, that would be fun to see, but I don't know, like, is that your villain for the movie? That's what I want to see. Is I want to actually have a clear-cut idea of like who the villain for this movie is or who he's going against. I know if you look at like the promotional material, the twins are in the promotional material, which are the two other Jabba the Hutt looking things that were, you know, side by side in Book of Boba Fett. It seems like them, they're making a play at Jabba's son, who's going to be played by Jeremy Renner. My guess is that's pretty much going to be the plot, and maybe the twins and a bounty hunter that they hire are to try to kill Jabba's kid is going to be the plot line. I don't know what that means.
That never really intrigued me that much, to be honest, because like I still don't know what the story is.
All that it does for me in the case of this, if that's the premise of this, if that's your whole meat and potatoes of the story, Din's going to save Rhoda the Hutt and bring him back to Tatooine or whatever he's going to do, then by doing that and putting a Hutt back on Tatooine, now you have a Hutt that you're friends with that's going to run Tatooine. It gets Boba and Fennec and Cobb Vanth and Black Chrysanthemum all out of Tatooine, which is nice. So if you are going to do this Thrawn thing, now you have all the players that you've established in these other shows to come and take part in it.
Take on Thrawn, yeah.
What they did with Boba was bad by having that whole story play out like that. Like that, this is kind of what should have been the plot of Book of Boba Fett, is him finding Jabba's son and him installing Jabba's son on the throne so he can fix Tatooine and get the fuck out of there.
Absolutely,
but that's not how it played out. So it almost seems like a fixing of all of that. Like, hey, how can we fix the ending of Book of Boba Fett and make things a little bit cooler? Where we have like a cool Jabba the Hutt now that's like all jacked and in shape. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do. I'm interested to see where this is going to go. From what I've heard from all of my sources and people that I know that either took part in working in this movie or doing costuming, I've heard that there's really no cameos in this movie. That it's really just Mandalorian, Grogu, Sigourney Weaver, and Zeb. And like, that's your cast. I don't know if we see Carson Teva. I don't know if we go to Mandalore at all and we see Bo-Katan or the Armorer or any of these characters that have been established in the previous show. I don't know. It doesn't seem that way. They need to run
that back.
It doesn't seem like that's the case, and that's
they need to run that
leaves
back.
Me worrying.
I was intrigued that the Mandalore dinosaur was
and that's kind of what we all thought this was going to happen. Like, that's kind of what we thought the Mandalorian movie would be, is like, oh well, we got to see Grogu ride the fucking Mandalore, right? Like, at some point, like, that's what this whole thing has been built up to. But then I don't think we're going to get that in this movie. I think they're saving that for the potential Thrawn, the big culmination of the Thrawn stuff. But as we discussed, who knows if we're even going to get that at this point. And like, I don't think it's going to be a movie. I think if anything, it could be a Disney Plus like a limited series, maybe 4 episodes.
Movie material, like.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with that, and it still leaves me wondering. I'm hopeful. I love the Ahsoka cast. I love the Mando cast. Like, I like this era. To me, I would love to see them just recast Han, Luke, and Leia and just continue to play in this sandbox right now. Like, just give us more stories with the original trilogy characters in this timeline and show us how we get from, they saved the galaxy at the end of, or on Endor, to like the First Order coming, and like, we're here, we're in this timeline. Show us what happens, show us what takes place, show us how Luke goes from being the hero of the galaxy to a sad boy who like runs and hides on a different planet. Like, I need that explained, because to me, as of right now, like the job you've done explaining that does nothing for me and doesn't seem logical. So if you flush that material out, if you're going to focus on this time and this era of Star Wars, then do that. And I feel like you need to. Like, I feel like if we were going to get a Mandalorian like culmination movie, I think the scene that would sell everybody to go see the movie would be you see the Falcon, fly up to a ship, it docks, the doors open, there's Chewie, there's Leia, there's Han, there's Luke, there's 3PO and R2. There's your shot. And that's how you sell that movie of like, hey guys, you're going to see the original cast of Star Wars back together again in live action in this movie. I think the tickets would be out the door if the minute people saw that. But,
so you think you think that might be something they might sell to the trailer tomorrow?
I don't think it's going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. That's my thing. Is like, I think if Filoni got his way and could do his Thrawn, culmination and do his Heir to the Empire movie that he wanted to do, I feel like we definitely would have gotten Han, Luke, and Leia, and him and Favreau have said it multiple times of like, that was the disservice of the sequel trilogy. We never got to get them all together in one shot. And that's kind of what we were waiting for, like with the second movie. We thought Last Jedi, like, they left it where Luke's on this planet. They're going to go get Luke. They're going to bring them all back together. But then that's not how it went, because they killed Han at the end of the first movie, and that never got to take place. So that was such a disheartening thing for, like, you know, OT Star Wars fans, that we never got to get that again.
Leia was fucked
well,
up.
Leia, unfortunately, she had really passed away in real life, and they had to do what they could do. But that's what I mean, like, squandered opportunities. This whole thing we could have got that moment in The Force Awakens of all of them together one last time before you kill Han, and it would have been a lot special. I feel like if you could do that in the Mandalorian timeline and get them all together with the Mandalorians, with Ezra, with Ahsoka, with Sabine, like, all in a war against Thrawn and his armada that he's established with the Night Sisters, and like, that sells itself, man. I'm in. All kinds of Jedi and a big war again. Like, hell yes, take my money. But I don't know if we're gonna get it. That's the problem for me. So I hope the trailer's good. I hope the trailer gets a good reaction. I hope people want to go see this movie, because like I said, we want Star Wars to be successful. I want to see more Star Wars movies be made. But I don't know if the way they've approached this marketing, and I don't know if the way they've approached this film is going to get them there. And that's what I'm a little bit afraid of. And I guess we'll see how it all plays out.
Do you think Gina is coming back next in this one?
I don't. I know they technically have to offer her job back at some point. That was kind of part of the condition, and part of the thing is, like, basically Disney has to offer her a role again, because she was unjustly fired from her role. You could take it however you want. We're not going to get political about her statements. I like the character of Cara Dune. I felt like the character of Cara Dune was a big part of season 1 and 2 in making that show successful. And then when you didn't have her around anymore, you felt it, and they had to pivot and bring in new characters and do these things to kind of fill the void that she left. As I discussed, the end of season 3 of Mandalorian was supposed to be her ending. Like, she was supposed to end up being the Sheriff of Navarro and, you know, all of that. And I almost feel like they kind of hinted at maybe like, oh, Cara Dune got killed when Moff Gideon got broken out in season 3. When that takes place, it's kind of alluded to that, like, oh, Cara Dune was on that transporter, and now there's nobody left alive on that transporter. So it's like, oh, Cara Dune died in that fight. Yeah. But I know from, like, what transpired of Gina's civil suit and whatever played out, I think they have to offer her a job back at some point. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I think it would all depend on, like, if we continue to get more Mandalorian, there's a possibility that we could see Gina back, but I wouldn't guarantee it at all.
Yeah. It's a bummer, because I do really enjoy her character as well. So,
and, like, especially at the end of season 2, like, when you got her and Fennec together and Bo-Katan, it was like, oh man, you assembled this little cool girl squad for Din to, like, roll around with. Like, it's not even.
It's not just like Avenger worthy level.
Yeah, like, badass like group of mercenaries, and 3 of them are some of the badass women you've ever met. Like, to me, that was awesome. I would be here for her to come back in some capacity. I would just like her to keep her political stuff out of it. That's really it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So as I said, tomorrow we get Mando and Grogu. You'll definitely get our reaction on it, however we decide to do that. But in trailer news, we got our first release of the Spider-Man NIOR trailer with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
I really love this. I really love the fact that we got this. I was telling Ed this earlier throughout the week. This was a show that I wasn't actually like really looking for, but I'm glad that it still came to life. So
I didn't know. I didn't know how to take this. Like, when they first got announced, I was like, oh, they're doing a Spider-Man noir show? Like, who asked for that?
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I wasn't one of the people. And even seeing the trailer, like, it looks great. Like, I'll watch it probably because it's Spider-Man, but it's still not something that, like, I'm dying for. Like, oh, I need to see this Nicolas Cage Spider-Man.
Because it's like, where do you go after this? You're going to tell this story and do this thing, and then it's just going to be like a one anywhere after that. It's just going to be a one-off.
But I think this opens the door for Sony maybe to test out the market of, like, hey, could you do a Miles Morales show or movie or something like that while we have
They
Peter
know
Parker and
they know they can
MCU?
do whatever the fuck they want with Miles Morales. Like that's
But so like their
that's
whole
a
thing has
no-brainer.
been making all of these Sony villain movies that don't have a Spider-Man in them, which has always baffled me. Like I don't know why you didn't bring Andrew Garfield back to play Spider-Man for these Sony movies. Like that would have been a no-brainer for me. Is like you
Right.
allow the MCU to have Tom Holland, and then you have Andrew Garfield be your Spider-Man for the other stuff. Like it works. But for this, what I found interesting was the first change they made is this is set in like a 1960s scenario. Those of you that didn't see Into the Spider-Verse, this is one of the characters from Spider-Verse. This is Spider-Man Noir. He's basically like a 60s Dick Tracy type Spider-Man. So he's a private investigator that ends up getting like Spider-Man powers, and it's just from an alternate Earth. They made changes to this to make him Ben Riley. So they're not using the Peter Parker identity for this. They made him Ben Riley, which is Peter's clone. In the Spider-Man story, Scarlet Spider is Ben Riley and Chasm. So I thought that was an interesting thing. Also, we see Silvermane in this as being the villain, which was pretty cool, played by Brendan Gleeson, who's a fantastic actor, has done all kinds of things. Also, in the trailer, we got to see a look at Electro, a look at Sandman, a look at Molten Man, and potentially Black Cat Felicia Hardy, being
Yeah,
like
that's
his.
definitely because they say they call her by like cat Catwoman or something like that to the cat in black, something like that. The cat in black.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like they've packed quite a lot into this movie or into this TV series. I want to say it's only 6 episodes, so like
Better.
it's going to be
Well,
interesting.
I mean, I don't know. I might actually like want more.
I was also shocked to see him like web slinging. I wasn't expecting. I thought low budget they were going
Yo.
to keep that down, and then when you saw him web slinging in the trailer, I was like, wow, okay, so they're going to do it. Like, all right.
And that's the thing, like it looks dope as shit. But
Yeah,
the
no,
thing
it looks
that always
fantastic.
fucks me up is like I can't stand his fucking hat. Like the hat, him
Yeah.
swinging with a hat, and it stays perfectly on his head. Like they gotta explain that because if you're in a real life web swinging
Well,
scenario,
like he holds it a lot. That's kind of his thing. Is like when he swings, he
but like
holds
what
it.
the gotta be swinging down
Yeah.
like this when like you're fighting somebody or something in the air? Like come on, dude! Like what are you doing?
to
And
me,
they
I
also
wonder-
you could tell he's an older guy too when he swings because he's not doing like the crazy like backflips and all these agility things.
And
He's just like
it's
really like whipping it, like
it's Nicolas
back and
Cage, so
forth.
you're gonna get like a Nicolas Cage performance out of this. And he said like he went crazy for this movie. Like he said he purposely like played it a certain way. So I wonder though, like what this would have looked like had it just been like a regular Spider-Man show. Like had it not been Spider-Man Noir, could this have been a Miles Morales show, and we could have got like this type of budget and this type of characters? Like, sign me up. I'm here for it.
Adam,
I don't know
would
about
be there
Spider-Man
day one,
Noir. You know what
and
I mean?
I'd be
Like
hyper
again,
than I am
I'm
for
with
this.
you. I didn't ask for this show. It's not something I really care for. It's not a character I don't have any attachment to the Spider-Man Noir universe. I don't have any attachment to Nicolas Cage in anything other than maybe coming back to play Ghost Rider if that was the case.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool. It'll be fun.
That part.
I'll treat it like Batman Cape Crusader that's on Amazon, where it's like it's not the continuation of the Bruce Timm story. It's like a whole new twist and alteration to it. So that's how I'm viewing
And Matt
this.
Reeves writing in that makes that show.
Yeah, but so like it's just something I don't need. It's not something I asked for. So it's just like, all right, cool. Like I'm glad it's coming. I'm glad people are gonna have fun with it. I'm glad we're getting more stuff like this. And Amazon for taking the swing. I don't think this would have been greenlit if Nick Cage wasn't the one who like wanted to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it got this budget, it got greenlit because Nick Cage said, "Hey, if you guys want me to actually play this Spider-Man, like I actually kind of want to do it." And they were like, "Oh shit, okay, well let's make that happen." And that's how we got this show. So
Yeah, and like you said about the Ben Riley thing, that shit really took me by surprise because if this does end up taking place with the next Into the Spider-Verse movie
Mm.
That's gonna be so mixy as fuck because
Well, yeah, and do we see Donald Glover in this at all? Does Donald
mm,
Glover pop up as Prowler in this? Because like
mm,
we've seen him make the crossover from live action to Into the Spider Verse. Maybe he pops up in Noir. Maybe this is a way we get Miles coming out of Spider Verse into live action. Like that's how I was saying. To me, that's how I would end Into the Spider Verse. Is whatever happens in this animated movie, you end it with Miles ending up in the MCU and like coming out of the animation into live action, and there we go. Now we got Miles Morales in the MCU, folks. And it's like it's such an easy thing to do. I don't know if they will though.
but I don't know. If anything, I feel like they're gonna follow the path of Into the Spider Verse instead, because the way that ends is Gwen goes and gets the original crew in New York, or whatever.
Mm.
If anything, we'll probably see a live action Gwen coming to get him to bring him to the Spider Verse stuff.
Yeah, I don't know when
And
this
this
is
is
gonna.
like a fan theory. I would hope that's
yeah.
what happens.
I
But
mean, that would be cool
yeah,
to see. What's her name? Kate Bishop. I forget her. Haley Steinfeld. It'd be
yeah,
cool to see her. Put on the Gwen suit. It would be really cool if they got Emma Stone and could get Emma Stone to come back and play Gwen one more time. Like that would be
right.
fun for me. Especially just to see her do it one more time.
Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
won't do Haley Steinfeld because she's already Hawkeye.
Yeah, and apparently she's going to be coming back for a Hawkeye show that I don't think needs to be made because Jeremy Renner's not coming back. So why would you even want to do a Hawkeye season 2? But that's a whole nother topic. But staying on Spider-Man, we also got a little bit of news from Spider-Man Brand New Day. There's still no trailer. There's still no word on when the trailer is going to be coming. Hopefully soon. This movie sounds like they have a lot of stuff packed into it. We've had rumors of Mr. Negative. We've had seeing Damage Control, which we know is going to kind of be one of the main antagonists of this movie. We have seen the potential for Sadie Sink to be Jean Grey or Rachel Summers. Now, all of a sudden, in this leaked stuff, we have a shot of Boomerang, which caught me off guard. I was like, oh. And Scorpion are both in the imagery. So they're bringing back Scorpion from the original Spider-Man movie. As we left off with him, he talked to Michael Keaton at the end and knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man, or was trying to, right? Like, that's kind of how they left that off. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how this is all going to play out, especially with Punisher and Hulk being involved in this whole storyline, too. It kind of seems like a lot of shit.
Yeah, I kind of knew they were going to bring back Scorpion because in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man TV show, Scorpion plays a major role in that, and they try to make it seem like it's a different dimension. We know that this is the layup for what a live action Scorpion, and even Tombstone that I've heard has been casted in this movie as well.
Tombstone's in this movie as well. And they got a phenomenal actor to play Tombstone in this movie. Like, I am so excited to see him take this role. I forget the actor's name off the top of my head, but he does have an actual skin complexion.
He was in not Static Shock, the other guy. Oh my lord! But anyways, he was also in Luke Cage as well.
Okay, yeah, he was. So he's going to be playing Tombstone. I'm excited to see this, especially because Tombstone in the comics, we'll talk about it later in the comics issues too, has really been redefined in the last year or two in the Amazing Spider-Man comics. They kind of went from making him just like a hired henchman to like he is the kingpin now. He's in charge of New York crime in the city. And him and Peter have had like a very interesting relationship develop in the past, stemming from gang war and then going on. So it's going to be cool to see like what take we get of Tombstone. I hope we get that take because I really love the current version of Tombstone that they've been doing.
Yeah. So he the guy who's going to be playing him, he goes by, his name is Cordon. I guess he's also a rapper as well. I never knew that, but
Marvin something, right? Marvin Jones? Is that his real name?
Cordon. Oh, Marvin Jones is his full name. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
he's going to be playing Tombstone. Mr. Negative, it was kind of rumored that Steve Yeun was going to be playing him, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's a different actor that's playing Mr. Negative. Sadie Sink being rumored now even more to be Jean Grey, which is interesting for me. I like
Yeah.
it if that's the case. Like, I'm cool with that. But to me, like I said, if you're going to cast somebody so young to play Jean, then I need the rest of the X-Men to follow suit and be around the same age. You can't go cast an older actress for Storm and Wolverine and then have like a bunch of like teenage kids being the actual X-Men. I don't want to see that again. You got to do it right or don't
I
do
was
it at
just
all.
about to say that is exactly what they
Yeah.
that's exactly what the original X-Men was.
And you don't want to repeat any of the mistakes the Fox X-Men did. Because if you start off that way, like, to me, like I said to you, my thing for Marvel was, why even bring back the Fox X-Men for Doomsday? Like, this is where you should have introduced your new X-Men, was here in Doomsday. But they're going to do for the nostalgia pull and try to get people to come in because of that. And to me, like, I feel that's a swing and a miss in that department of, like, I feel like you would have got a lot more people interested in this if you were like, hey, this is where the X-Men are starting in the MCU. So we'll see what happens. I'm very on the fence just because it feels like there's a lot of shit packed into this movie. I don't know how well they're going to be able to execute it if that's the case. And then we still have the loose thread of the black suit symbiote being out there in the MCU. So, like, does that come into play here too, or do we save that for Secret Wars with Peter?
That's
Like,
definitely gonna be. I think that we won't see nothing like that till Secret Wars.
I
But I
hope. I
also
hope.
feel like all these people that are being announced are just gonna play like a small cameo. I don't
It
really
could
think they're
be.
gonna be that important to the main scheme of the thing. If anything, I think Scorpion might be our main villain, but I don't see all these people playing as like a main role or
My
even being in the
assumption would
movie more
be.
than fucking like 20 to 30 minutes.
My assumption would be we get another montage like Fantastic Four did, where like they're
Correct.
gonna catch you up on Peter in the last year of being by himself with no Ned and no MJ, and you're gonna have a montage of like, oh, here's all these villains that he fought during this time, and this is what he's been doing, just fighting Boomerang, fighting Scorpion, fighting these guys, fighting Tombstone, whatever, and then you probably have Mr. Negative set up as like the big bad of the whole entire movie.
But all of them are mainly like B-list villains. So it's like
It
it makes
works if
sense
that's
to
the case.
give
Yeah.
them those villains in a
Yep.
world that is not the original one he came from.
Yeah, I mean it works in that regard. So I'm here for it. Hopefully we get some more news on Brand New Day at some point. Because yeah, I really am looking forward to seeing like what they're actually going to do with this movie. But we also got some news about some stuff we don't normally talk about, but it is movie news, so we figured we'd include it. They debuted some stuff for a John Wick video game. You're more of the gamer than me, so what were your thoughts, like seeing this little teaser or trailer that they put out for it?
So this announcement was made during the PlayStation State of Play, which is basically PlayStation's big event where they show off a bunch of trailers and things that are happening in PlayStation for the year to come. And then we also get stuff from another event called Summer Game Fest, but but this one is specifically for PlayStation. And when I seen this, I seen John Wick, and in my head I'm like, man, I really, really hope that this is done by the same people who made the game Sifu, if you ever heard or played it.
Mm-hmm.
And as it went through, I see Saber Studios, and immediately I was so freaking hyped for it because if you've played Sifu, it is every bootleg Chinese flick person's dream to like be in that game where you get like that like one Daredevil shot where it's just like a non-stop just like fighting scene in Daredevil season 1 and he's just fighting through everybody. That game literally holds that, and
Okay.
it makes sense to put it in a John Wick video game, to make a John Wick video game for that way you can do those type of things. So I'm so in on this. I'm hearing that Keanu Reeves is actually doing the voicing and some motion cap for it, like we talked. So it's gonna be really awesome to hear him get into that role with it.
And
And
they
like
said,
this guy, he loves this fucking character. So the more John
yeah.
Wick shit we get, the better. Like I'm all
And
in.
I'm interested
super
to
hyped for
see.
this game.
So I know he's been doing the Berserker stuff, which is his own comic and brand that he created. and I want to say it's in partnership with this same company. So that's what I was
Okay.
wondering if like the Berserker stuff. What was he in? Cyberpunk, right? That was the other game that he was like involved in heavily. I'm wondering if like this is just a new avenue for him. Like he got involved in the cyberpunk stuff and then just started like, oh well, we could do video games and I could just keep doing stuff. Yeah, might as well. Like,
And
so
just
I thought
keep
that was
doing
cool.
my role, like just keep playing
Yeah,
myself, basically.
and the cool thing about this game, it's supposed to take place before all four movies, so you're actually gonna see like you're gonna be playing the Legend of the Baba Yaga and like actually getting to earn the cred and see those missions that he did to become like the most feared assassin that they had. And then you can go watch the movies and like pick right up from it. I think that's
Yeah,
pretty cool. So it's
yeah,
PS5 and Xbox, and it's a complete original story. So that should be fun. Like it would be cool to see
yeah.
some cameos too. I haven't seen the ballerina yet. I still want to watch that really badly.
Same. I haven't
Um,
either.
so like it would be cool to see if like you get cameos from some of those side characters too included in this. Some of the people from the Continental TV show or the hotel itself included in this. Like that's gonna be cool to just be able to like go into the Continental as part of the story and part that's gonna be a lot of fun. So it
Facts. Yeah.
looks like it'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah, I'm super hyped for it. And then we also in another gaming news, we did get some reveals about the Star Wars Galaxy Racers gameplay, which is basically just if you guys have ever played like you remember the racing they did during the what's it called the
Pod racing,
say it again.
pod racing,
Yeah, the
right?
pod racers, but it was like the feeling of like in Bhutan when they have the Eve Classic and the Phantom Menace and all that stuff or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's basically that era, and you just do your pod racer, just trying to make your way up in the ranks and stuff like that. It looks really cool. I think it's taking place during the current Star Wars gen because I did notice that in one of the maps that you drive in, it's you see it's they go on Jakku and you see
Okay.
the Millennium Falcon, like how I was in the movie in Force
Mm.
Awakens. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and maybe getting to play that map. And overall, it's just like a racing game in Star Wars. So
They do it a lot. They did it in as part of
expecting some
Star
good
Wars
stuff is coming
Battlefront,
out.
where like you had the flying and you had the piloting, and then they split that off and gave it its own game with the Starfighter game or whatever they were calling it. I forget what it was called, Rebel Squadron, whatever.
Yeah, I know what
Um,
you're talking about. Where you're the
so like
co-pilot
these games are
of the
cool,
jet.
but I wish they would just do like an all encompassing. Like I would love to see a Call of Duty type game set in Star Wars. So like how Battlefront 2
Battlefront,
was.
bro.
I know, but what I'm saying is even more expansive and more in depth where like, all right, I could not only pick like the class of person I wanted to be, whatever alien species, if I wanted to play as a Mandalorian, if I wanted to play as, a stormtrooper, I wanted to play as a dark trooper or whatever. Like I want all of that to be fully customizable, all the weapons, the gear, everything. Let me be able to create like my own original character and play, and even make it to where like if you want to be a Jedi or you want to be a Sith, you can run around with a lightsaber instead of guns and weapons, but you have some disadvantages and advantages just like you did in Star Wars Battlefront. Like the original Battlefront game to me was like so much fun. Me and my buddy played it all the time. When they did the second one, they included all of that, you had to buy this and you had to buy that, and it was too much, and the game just wasn't the same. It lost the fun and the appeal of like just being able to have like a free-for-all in these battles and in these events and be able to hide and strategically advance. I want to see more of that, and I feel like that's a missing thing. There was talks about doing something with like a bounty hunter game a while back that never came to fruition.
Right, right.
So it would be
So
cool to see
what I was
something
gonna
along those lines.
what I was gonna say is that around the time when Acolytes came out, Star Wars Battlefront 2 randomly got like really popular again on
Super
Steam.
popular, yeah.
And when that happened, like they started to add like some more updates and things like that to the game.
And there was a
And
big
so when that
campaign to
happened,
get
I
the third one
pictured
played.
or thought that they would start working on a third one because
Yeah.
they're like, oh shit, people still really do like this freaking
Well, that
game.
was the campaign, Battlefront 3, make Battlefront 3 happen or whatever.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't be surprised anytime soon that we might get that, because I know they're redoing the uh eh, Empires, the Galactic Empire game.
Knights of the Old Republic is
Sorry,
getting
Knights of
redone.
Knights of the
Yeah.
Old Republic. Yes,
Yeah.
they're redoing that one right now as a
Yeah,
remake. So
and we should get the announcement probably more than likely for the Last Jedi Survivor game. I don't know what it's going to be titled yet, but from everything that I've heard, there is a game slated for the end of this year, and it looks like it's possibly that game. So we could finally reach like the conclusion of that as well, which will be nice to get. I really want to see Cal Kestis be brought into live action. I like Cameron Moynihan. So I hope that's the
talk
route
about
they
it, bro.
go. I
That would
know a
be
lot of people
amazing.
want to see that story just end in video games, like have him die doing something heroic in the video games and just call it a day. But I really want to see him and Ezra. Like, they have a good relationship, both actors in real life. At a lot of the conventions, they're always together taking pictures. I would love to see that, like, in live action. So hopefully that's something we can get at some point.
Hold on one second. Yeah. So like I was saying, seeing him in live action would be freaking awesome. Especially where they ended the series at.
Yeah.
Having him go rogue like that would be insane. So I
Yeah,
can't
I'm
wait,
interested
and I
to
hope
see.
they do end up adding him to the
And
live
especially
action.
because of the way they ended the Thrawn stuff, with Thrawn coming back with the Night Sisters and Cal's girlfriend Marin being a Night Sister who, like, would do anything to have them back. I feel like the story's already there to have them both be included in this Ahsoka story. You know what I mean? Like, Marin maybe ends up going back to her clan, and Cal now is left alone and fights on the other side. Like, that would be an interesting story to see play out, for me at least. So maybe that's the case. I don't know if that's the way they're going to go, obviously, but it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would. All right. So, was there any? I
Now
think
we
there
got
was one more thing I wanted to touch on. Oh yes, the New York Toy Fair.
well, even before that, we got some comic stuff. So randomly, a new indie comic came out called Dork. It's DORC. It's basically an orc um, comic written by Brett Bean. It came out about 2 weeks ago now, maybe three, as the time of this episode drops. But after stellar reviews, after a lot of word of mouth, this book went from being a first #1 issue on an independent, I think it's a Dark Horse book, or might even be like a smaller company book. The issue's already over $100 an issue on eBay in the secondhand market for the first print right now. So I thought that was
What?
quite insane. So I'm not familiar with Brett Bean. From what I've heard, he's done some work with Scotty Young. So I guess, like, a lot of people who like Scotty Young were turned on to this book and this thing coming out. And it's just cool to see the resurgence of comics again, and seeing how, like, sometimes these indie books, man, can really just take off and be something, and that's good to see. Like, that's a healthy state of the comic book industry.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a big reason of why to me personally, I started getting back into comics myself, because the medium of having not enough like video content compared to the oversaturation of comic content
Hmm.
is just like zero to none in comparison.
Yeah.
So having to be able to me wanting to want more of the content that I'm seeing on TV, I just like I think it's time to read some fucking comics, and
Yeah.
that's just here I am now, building a
And
whole freaking collection that I barely can keep contained.
it really goes to show what stuff like Ultimate Universe, and another topic we're going to talk about, Batman Absolute, and like the Absolute Universe, what it's done for comics in just the last year or two. Like, you're starting to see these books hit record numbers. Like, Absolute Batman's on what, the 12th print of the first issue now.
Dude,
That number
12th
one
print they just announced. That's
that number
crazy.
one issue sold at my comic shop the other day. Not graded, just a regular issue one, first print of issue one, Somebody
Yeah.
bought it for $400 the other day at the comic shop. Like, that's unheard of for a new book to come out and be worth that much money right away. And like, if you look at eBay, some of them sold for higher if they're signed, if they're graded. Like, they're going for good money. So it's cool to see like this dork book that came out of nowhere reaching that status already. And I don't think that's possible without stuff like Absolute Batman and stuff like, all of these other universes that the companies have created in the last year to really drive people back to the comic book shops to pick this stuff up. Because especially with the Absolute stuff, I don't think you're waiting for these to come out digitally. I think you're enticed to go out and pick this up and pick up the actual issues, because each issue that comes out so far, it's a new first appearance of so-and-so. It's a debut of so-and-so. All these issues have value to them. Like, even the last Wonder Woman issue that just came out, you got the first full appearance of Zatanna and her Suicide Squad. Like, another money issue. And with the Joker stuff coming, as we're about to talk about, the tease and the hint that we're going to get an absolute Court of Owls. For me, that's super exciting. So for those of you guys that don't know, Scott Snyder is the one who created the Court of Owls originally. The Court of Owls is basically this organization that has been in Gotham since the start. They're the ones who founded the city. They work in the shadows. They're basically multi-mega rich billionaires pulling the strings and working behind the scenes, and they have this hit squad called the Talons that they send off after people. There's a nursery rhyme that goes with it, which is the creepiest nursery rhyme you've ever heard. And when you see the Court of Owls masks, they're just plain white owl face masks with not many features to them. It's just the shape and the roundness of the mask that gives you this creepy imagery to it. So when you you find out about like this secret society that's in the shadows in Gotham and operating, and now we're gonna get Scott doing it again in Absolute. It almost makes me wish Greg Capullo was going to hop on and do maybe an issue or two. I love Dragata. He's been doing a fantastic job on that book. But just for old time's sake to see, Capullo maybe do a cover or just hop in and do an issue real quick, like with the Court, that would be fun, because their original Batman run in the New 52 is what introduced the Court of Owls. And like, they're the ones who created them. They're the ones who flushed them out. It's going to be interesting to see the alternate take that they have on them for this universe, because so far everything's been so batshit crazy in the Absolute universe, mainly in Absolute Batman. The other Absolute titles are far more, I think, straight to the point. Like Wonder Woman's still Wonder Woman for the most part, with just some things changed, and Superman's still Superman with just some things changed. But I feel like Absolute Batman has been like on its own tear, just doing what they want to do in that world, and it's been fun. So Court of Owls, what do you think about? Like, are you excited to see that come in now as part of this book?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I'm excited to see it because, what I know from Court of Owls is from the video games and from the movie, the animated show.
I forgot that they did do an animated movie too. Yeah, that's right. They did. Yeah.
So that's as far as my Court of Owls knowledge goes. And knowing what we learned about Arkham Asylum in this 2 issues ago, I think it was
Arkham,
and it's just how chaotic and crazy that shit was. I can only imagine the things that Scott is gonna put together for the Court of Owls stuff, and top of the fact that with him being the one who made it, like, he's probably gonna tell the B side of the original story. You know what I mean? So definitely, it's gonna be interesting.
Definitely recommend to people, if you have not read like the Court of Owls or never read Scott's original run, you can get that trade fairly easy. It's available on Amazon. I believe it's the first collected trade or the second collected trade. It's literally titled Court of Owls, and the story is phenomenal. You see like how it's introduced, how they play out, how they tie into Bruce's family and his lineage, how they tie into Mr. Freeze and Cobblepot and Tommy Elliott and all these characters that have been staples. Their families have been long-standing staples in Gotham. You come to find out that like all of these families have something to do with the Court of Owls over some point, and it's alluded to and kind of roped in that maybe that's why Bruce's parents were killed originally, was because the court wanted them killed. And that's kind of reframes the whole Batman scenario of like, oh, wow, like it was a hit. It wasn't, it wasn't just
Some
this
random
random
act that
guy.
happened,
Yeah. So it's really cool. Definitely, if you have an Ollie's near you, you should be able to find that trade at Ollie's still. That's one of the Batman trades that they've had there for like $3 or $4. It's definitely worth picking up and reading. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, they do such a fantastic job with that initial thing. So I'm interested to see too, with the way Absolute Batman's been going on and the way Joker's being set up as like, the Batman of the universe. Yeah. Do you frame the court maybe as Bruce's allies this time instead of his rivals? Like, I think that would, like, kind of what they did with Harley Quinn, where, like, Harley in this universe is basically running Batman's street gang for him and enforcing Batman's code. So do you get to see maybe the Court of Owls be reframed as, like, this organization that likes Batman and wants to help Batman take down Joker? That would be a cool way of framing it to like totally flip it around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was like, given the fact that his parents' origins is totally different, it can get away from that story, and
you can maybe do that. That the shooting at the zoo was orchestrated by the Court of Owls. If you want to do that, you know what I mean. Like that hasn't been kind of drawn out.
Owls, that
would be a cool way to do it too. So it's interesting. Also, I know it's not on our itinerary, but since we're talking about DC and stuff that's upcoming, apparently I just read last night that they're going to be splitting Harley Quinn into two characters. So Harley is going to be joining the Justice League after DCKO ends. Basically, 4 characters: King Shark, Lex Luthor, Harley Quinn, and maybe Deathstroke is the other one. It's another villain. They're going to be joining the Justice League officially after KO is over. From what I've heard, the plan is to split Harley because of the Omega energy into 2 separate characters. So you're going to have Harley's manic side becoming a Batman sidekick. So she's going to have a kind of rebrand. She's going to be wearing a bat symbol costume, being part of the Justice League. And then you're going to have normal Harleen Quinzel that's going to go back to being a psychiatrist. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. I thought it was an interesting pitch when I read about it. Obviously, we'll talk about in Comics of the Week what happened this week with DCKO and Lex Luthor, so that makes sense of why Lex is joining the Justice League. Again, this will be his second time being part of the Justice League in comics. King Shark has already kind of been a favorite and part of Suicide Squad, so he makes sense. And I forget who the other character was off the top of my head that was mentioned in the article. But it's part of DC's new initiative with Justice League Unlimited to really kind of encompass what the old animated TV show was by having all of these characters be on the Justice League. Like, it just makes sense universe-wide to have that all included. So it's cool little changes, little things that are going to change the status quo. I don't know how that's going to go for Harley Quinn, but it's going to be interesting.
I don't know about that's going to go either because...
And I don't know why the change to like bring Harleen back. Like, I don't know why you need that. Like, it would have been cool just to see Harley join Justice League as Harley, like all together. Give her a redesign, give her a new costume to be a superhero. But
why they gotta go so heavy on the Batman thing?
I guess because of the fact that, like, even in the White Knight universe, like, Batman and Harley end up having a thing down the line. Like, her child is alluded to possibly be Bruce's child, like in the White Knight universe and stuff like that. You come to find out that the twins are Joker's twins, obviously, but the other baby that she's pregnant with is kind of alluded to be Bruce's in a way, and like that they had this other relationship that they formed later. So I don't know. That's what my guess is, like what they're going off of, because it almost seems like Bruce is vouching for her, and that's why she's wearing the bat symbol. He's like, if she's going to join, she's going to be part of my family. Like, I'm taking her in already. So it's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see like what they do with all of that, because it really is interesting. Do you want to go into Comics of the Week now, or do you want me to go into Toy Fair stuff? Since we're already talking about comics, you want to go into Comics of the Week?
I mean, sure. Uh,
Okay.
I'm still on my backlog. I
Yeah,
haven't,
you had a
from what you
stack
guys saw
last week
last
that you had to
week
go
is
on.
what I'm still in the middle of reading. So I haven't even picked up my stuff. I was gonna try and do it today, but my shop is closed today.
Okay.
So maybe we'll get back to that next episode.
So,
But other than that, I mean, I did read DCKO, so I'm up to date on that, and I did
okay.
read what is all the DC stuff I read? It's right here. I read, I did read DCKO, and I caught up on the Batman night fight.
Okay. Did you read the
That's about
actual
it. I
Batman
still have
issue
to
from
catch up
last
on
week?
boss battles and um the Matt Fraction Batman and fucking Turtles.
Okay. So yeah, the Matt Fraction Batman is something I wanted to talk about. I don't think it's really a spoiler for the issue. I guess I could say it without ruining it for you, because it's not a pivotal point of the issue. The main pivotal point of that issue is the how that issue ends. But in that issue, Tim Drake, the third Robin, basically decides to step away from being Robin. So Tim is no longer a superhero. He's putting down the mantle of Robin and basically going to go have a happy relationship with his boyfriend. That's basically what he decided. Upcoming in Matt Fraction's run, Stephanie Brown, spoiler, who was technically a Robin. She's now one of the Batgirls. She's apparently going to be filling the role going forward. So we still have Damian and Batman and Robin, but for the Fraction book, it seems like Stephanie Brown is going to be taking the place of the new sidekick for Bruce for that title, which is interesting. I love Steph. I'm happy to see her get this role. I would have loved to see her and Jason Todd get a book together, because to me that just writes itself with them two in a book. But it'll be cool to see this reframing. And for those that don't know, Stephanie Brown was in a relationship with Tim Drake for years before they changed Tim to make him a gay character. So it that never got resolved in the books of like their relationship or like what that was about. It was just kind of they had like a conversation and she accepted that, he was having this relationship with this guy now. So I think all that's going to be tied into her stepping in to fill the role, because I don't think she's happy that Tim left. I think she's resentful in a way that he's gone, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yes, it will.
But
Go ahead. You can get into your comics, and then we go into Toy Fair.
So for this week, Ahmad Best, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks in The Phantom Menace, and got death threats and wanted to commit suicide for playing the role of Jar Jar back in the day. He came back to play Kelleran Beck as of late in Mandalorian Season 3. He's the Jedi that ends up saving Grogu from the temple. With that, his character of Jar Jar has been celebrated more recently by people. And Ahmad Best himself got the opportunity to write Jar Jar Binks, #1. So it is a crossover book that takes place before Order 66 happens, and it establishes Kelleran Beck working with Jar Jar Binks to set up the events that take place in Mandalorian. So the big question is, when Kelleran Beck saves Grogu in Mandalorian, he's flying a Naboo starfighter. So everybody automatically thought Padme, but didn't remember that Jar Jar's a senator at the time. So it's Jar Jar who actually has the alliance with Kelleran Beck, and this book actually sets them up, setting up a network before Order 66. So before Order 66 already happens, Jar Jar Binks and Kelleran Beck seem to be the ones who started the Path, which is the organization that we've come to learn about through Bad Batch, that Asajj Ventress is part of, that Quinlan Voss is a part of. You saw it in Obi-Wan Kenobi, that Ice Cube's son was part of, the Path and working for them. So in a way, it's established that Kelleran Beck and Jar Jar Binks together were the ones who created that. And I would be remiss to not show the back of this, because we have the prequel comic for the Darth Maul series coming too, written by the great, fantastic Benjamin Percy. It's going to be 4 issues that lead directly into Maul Shadow Lord's debut, and that starts next month. So this book, if you're planning on watching Shadow Lord, this Maul comic is the one to be looking for and picking up. My other two for this week is Spider-Man by Joe Kelly. I have not talked about this book a lot, but I truly have been enjoying this Spider-Man run tremendously. This book has been taking place simultaneously, probably for the last
I've
10 to
been iffy
12
about picking
issues.
it up because off of the
The last
oh
run
my
of
god, why am I
Spider-Man.
blanking on his name? But you know what I'm talking about, the recent Spider-Man run.
So the last run of Spider-Man was met with a lot of distaste. A lot of people hated the last run of Spider-Man. I enjoyed bits and pieces of it. Spider-Man is a book that I always continue to pick up for the most part, no matter who is writing it or doing it. Amazing's my book that I've never dropped. Even when it's bad, I still pick it up and don't read it. But I really love this Joe Kelly run so far. So what he's been doing is Peter's been off-world for the past probably 12 issues or so, and Norman Osborn has been stepping in the role as Spider-Man on Earth while he's been gone. Ben was doing it for a little while, but Ben got tired of playing Peter and basically took off. And Norman basically got to show his own skills and his own maturing. So by the end of this issue, Norman Osborn not only has a new appreciation for his life and who he is, but Norman now is going to be responsible for training Gwen, Miles, Spider-Boy, Spider-Girl, and Peter's little group of kids that he's basically assembled. So Norman and I forget who the other character is going to be. They're going to be getting a spin-off series that's going to take place basically with Norman stepping into that role of being the trainer for these spider kids, basically.
But in that series, does is he established as Green Goblin already or no?
So Green Goblin, this Norman has been reformed now for quite some time. Green Goblin, he's no longer Green Goblin. He's no longer infected by the Goblin toxin. It's a part of his identity. He's been making amends, and him and Peter really have been best friends in this series. Norman knows that he's Spider-Man. Norman's using the Osborn Industries basically to help Peter whenever he can. So they've really built on their friendship and Peter learning to trust him. And this was the big step, was when Peter's gone and the city needs a Spider-Man, Norman was the one who stepped up and put on the suit and realized just how hard it was. And he doesn't have the super strength Peter has. He's using technology to make up for the things that Peter has naturally. And he realized like how hard this is, and that, you know, Peter's working with these kids that are, you know, putting their life on the line too. And he's like, well, if these kids are going to be doing this, then I have to be better and they need to be better. I need to train them and show them what they need to do. So at the end of this issue, Peter comes back to Earth, and Peter gives Norman, you know, Norman basically collapses in front of Peter and is just like, I tried. I really tried. And Peter's proud of him. Peter's like, I love that you put the suit on. I have a lot of questions as to why you have the suit on. But you did a fantastic job. And like you did what I needed you to. I was gone. You filled the role for me while I was gone. And that's what I love about this series so far. It's been a lot of fun. And now you have these new characters that were introduced from Peter's venture out in space. He basically formed his own little Guardians of the Galaxy. Rocket's part of his little team. So it's him, Rocket, and three other characters that they've established. Peter has a phalanx suit. So if you're familiar with X-Men and the phalanx coven, Peter actually bonded with one of them and is wearing like a phalanx Spider-Man suit, which is so cool. So I hope we get to see him continue to use that in the story as the book goes forward.
Yeah, it's interesting that they keep that narrative going, because even in the TV show that recently came out with Spider-Man, like I mentioned it earlier today too, Spider-Man's Friendly Neighborhood, Norman plays that role with him where he makes him all these different suits, and in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like, did you check this show out or not?
No, I don't. I had no interest watching that show because it's
since this is a thing, I would take into consideration checking it out, because they do exactly that in the show. And in the beginning, you think he's gonna end up betraying him, but he never does. And I was really, really, really like surprised about this show and the way it went down. it was good, and they also do a lot of cool stuff with Tombstone in this as well too.
Yeah,
So Marvel's doing a whole thing with that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that in Brand New Day and Spider-Man stuff going forward,
yeah, the
and
animation
live
for that
action
show
obviously.
looks awful to me, so that's why I was never interested in it. It looked really shitty.
I get
I
it.
don't like the changes that they made to the characters. Like, I would have wanted Spider-Man 94 to return and would have preferred that over that. Um, so yeah, I've really been enjoying this book. This is issue 21 of this series, so you could pick up the trade and check it out and get caught up on it. But I've really enjoyed it. And then I know I went on a tangent about comics. The last one is Cyclops #1 that came out this week.
Yeah, that's
Pivotal issue for X-Men fans and lore of Cyclops. So there was a retcon that was made years ago regarding Cyclops' powers. This is kind of set to re-evolutionize Cyclops in a new way going forward. So the book takes place with him going to visit a place that him and Alex Summers grew up in, this foster home that they grew up in, and in the process, Cameron Hodge, or not Cameron Hodge, I forget his name, the Hellfire member that is in charge, Donald Pierce, I'm sorry, that's in charge of the Reavers. He's basically building a new team of Reavers, and Cyclops comes across this new team of Reavers. In the process, he loses his visor. His visor breaks and shatters, and if you're familiar with Cyclops' powers, the visor is how he controls the optic blast. If his eyes are open, he can't control it. So this is how this issue kind of got set up of how is Cyclops going to be able to manage not having a visor and not being able to open his eyes and having to fight this new group of Reavers. So cool little thing. There is an episode of the Cerebro podcast. If you're an X-Men fan, I highly recommend going to check that out. Connor Goldsmith has his debut comic coming from Dark Horse. Did you hear about Mimi Green? That's up for pre-order now. Highly recommend picking that up. Connor is a fantastic guy who runs an X-Men podcast for X-Men fans, and it is probably the best X-Men podcast that's out there. It's very long, very in-depth, and it's always enjoyable. He does have a new episode, though, with the writer of the Cyclops issue, and they really go full in-depth about the issue and other Cyclops lore kind of encompass. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've took a listen. The podcast is very long, but they do give you great detail about the comic and things of that nature to stay on track with. So it's
Connor,
better. It's better in podcast form, honestly, than if there is a video version. But I do recommend it.
Connor's a lifelong X-Men fan. He was a agent for an entertainment agency, so basically he was an agent for book writers, and he started Cerebro Podcast and then eventually transitioned now into writing comics himself. So that's such a cool thing to see somebody like us go from doing something like this to literally making their dreams happen and writing comics. So I think that's so damn cool. But so New York Toy Fair was this weekend, and boy, do I have a lot of stuff. I have a list here of all the things that were revealed, talked about, shown off. So, as I talked about earlier, Jon Favreau had a Mandalorian panel where they sat down, they revealed all of the toys and stuff coming out for the Mandalorian movie, role play items, stuff like that. In it, we got a glimpse of Sigourney Weaver, a bunch of new stormtroopers, a new Mandalorian.
Nice.
Not too much shown off as far as some of the newer characters. Arata the Hutt is only in the vintage collection size, which is the 3.75, compared to the 6-inch, which is the Black Series. So it looks to be like there might be some other characters floating out down the line after the movie comes out. That's kind of what it seems like. Like Wave 1 is kind of just Mando and a couple of the troopers, and then when Wave 2 comes out, we'll get some more of the characters that are going to be revealed into the movie. That was cool to see. Like I said, they showed off this new battle droid concept for a character that looks pretty sweet. Don't know much about it other than that, but we'll see. Marvel revealed a ton of Marvel Legends prior to Toy Fair. They had a stream. So
but even before the Toy Fair, the stuff that was coming out was already insane. So I can only imagine the stuff they released at Toy Fair.
They revealed a second wave of the Marvel Secret Wars figures, which are coming. The first wave was phenomenal. This one's gonna have Magic, Falcon, Peter Parker with like a transformation suit, so it looks like the symbiote's on like part of his arm and part of his face. So you're getting like half the Venom, half the Spider-Man in a figure form. Constrictor, a new Bullseye or new Daredevil, which looked fantastic. And
I heard a lot of people were liking that one too.
Yeah, and the Magic. I ordered 3 Magics just for myself. Like, she's one of my favorite characters, so I need one to keep on card, and then I need her in 2 other displays. So that one for me was like a main one I needed to get. They also showed off Muse and Bullseye 2-pack, which looked amazing. They're all bloodied up too, so all the weapons Muse and Bullseye come with, there's like bloody machetes and bloody versions of their faces, like them beat up, and it looks amazing. So that was really cool to see. Todd McFarlane announced that he landed a PlayStation property license.
Yes.
So we're going to be getting...
Very excited for that one.
We're going to be getting God of War. We're going to be getting Ghost of Tsushima. We're going to be getting Last of Us. Drake's Fortune Uncharted. I'm trying to think of some of the other property. Twisted Metal, which was going to be pretty awesome. That was something I was saying when the TV show was coming out. I was like, why does Twisted Metal not have any, like, why is McFarlane not making Twisted Metal stuff? Like, a Sweet Tooth? Give me the ice cream truck with Sweet Tooth driving it. Like, how badass would that be? Yeah, so all that stuff's coming out. He also announced that he got the property. He got the property for Hellboy too. So Todd's going to be doing Hellboy stuff. He showed off 2 versions of Hellboy. Have that before? No, so it's he might have had it back when the movie was out, like years ago, like when Guillermo del Toro did it originally. But now we're getting like comic versions of Hellboy from Todd, which is pretty sweet. The 2 versions he showed off looked amazing. Hasbro announced that they signed a deal for the IP for Harry Potter. So for the Harry Potter series that's going to be coming out next year, Hasbro basically signed a bunch of new deals. We talked about last week how they're going to be doing Street Fighter figures for the Street Fighter movie. Now they're going to be getting the IP for the new Harry Potter show. So expect to see a lot of Harry Potter merchandise hitting. The big thing for kids was the K-pop Demon Hunter stuff. Mattel showed off a shitload of K-pop Demon Hunter stuff. I still have not watched the movie. I don't know anything about it.
Check that out.
Other than my niece loves it. My niece like sings the songs all the time and absolutely loves it. So I was showing her some of the stuff that they were showing, and she was all about it. So, yeah, Mattel's got role-play stuff and action figures and dolls and American dolls and everything you can think of. So if your kids are into that, expect to be buying a lot of that stuff in the future. And then the other thing that was shown off, which was really, really cool, was NECA. NECA was a big one at this company, at this toy fair. They're a local company. They're based in Hillside, New Jersey. So they operate, and their main offices are in New Jersey. Blaine, who works for them, showed off a bunch of new stuff for Predator, the Predator Badlands. So we're getting Thea, we're getting Dak's brother and his father all in action figure form that look amazing. They unveiled their Muppets license that they just announced. So they showed off a Gonzo and a Miss Piggy and some other characters from that, which looks so cool. And there was also DuckTales was a surprise one that they got licensed for.
I was really surprised to see the Sesame Street line that came out and how detailed it is in action figures form. Like, they really did their thing with the way you can adjust everything.
Well, yeah, and everything's swappable, different heads, different hands, everything like that. So the Sesame Street stuff and the Muppet stuff will go together. They're all the same size. So if you're a Jim Henson fan, you can literally have a whole Jim Henson display of the Muppets and Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock that all is in one scale together, which is amazing. I love when companies do that and, like, cater to the fans that are already collecting and buying the other stuff. Like, that's the way it should be. I'm hoping eventually we can get Mortal Kombat figures that scale with the Street Fighter figures, but so far we have not been able to get that. Different licenses, different companies, different sizes in the figures, so they don't quite go with one another. But hopefully, like, other companies pay attention to what NECA's doing and try to kind of flush that out a little bit more. But yeah, Toy Fair was amazing this year. A lot of stuff coming.
What was your highlight?
Probably the NECA stuff. Honestly, I know they announced the Muppets prior to Toy Fair, so it was really cool to see like the prototypes, and they were all they're still in early form, so they're not even like factory molds. They're hand painted prototypes that they were literally showing off at the Toy Fair. So it's very early on the Muppets line, but they look fantastic. They're gonna be fantastic. And then Hellboy from McFarlane. I saw that. I had a Hellboy that was on order from Boss Fight Studios, which is a smaller company that tends to do some really cool stuff. They do like Conan the Barbarian, and they do some wrestling figure stuff in like Lucha Libre.
Yeah.
So they had a Hellboy that was coming out that I already had on pre-order, and I saw this McFarlane one, and I canceled that pre-order so fast, and I'm just gonna wait out for the McFarlane one. I love the McFarlane stuff as of late. It's been like something that I've really kind of been more into collecting is a lot of the DC McFarlane stuff and some of the other like properties that they do. So I'm excited for that PlayStation line. Like getting a God of War Kratos, in that scale is going to be epic. Seeing how he's done some of the Spawn characters, like with real chains and real stuff like that, to see him do a Kratos, like with the blades and like, oh man, that's gonna be so sick. And he showed off some more stuff than the Creator line that he's got coming out. So like,
He didn't show off anything from the PlayStation line, like
no, because the
announcement?
deal just got announced this weekend, so it's very early production. We probably won't see that PlayStation stuff probably till next year, maybe end of this year, more likely. Todd usually keeps stuff very nice, like for a company. A lot of companies, they put out pre-orders, they leak imagery, and then you don't get the stuff for 6 to 8 months afterwards. Todd kind of keeps it on a very tight schedule. He's been doing this like since we were kids of his own toy company. So he keeps things closer to release. So by the time something goes up for pre-order, it's already on the boat on the way over here. So you're waiting at the most maybe a month or two before the item actually comes out after you order it. So more than likely, like once we start to get closer to that stuff coming out and that stuff being readily available, we'll start to see some promo images and some artwork and some digital renders and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do for all these different, PlayStation properties. The company that had the PlayStation license previously did make some cool figures. They did a Kratos, they did a Atreides, they did a Ghost of Tsushima.
Who was the previous one?
Spin Master was the one that had the license previously. And for the most part, Spin Master makes a lot of kiddie toys. They're like very reserved for kids and like cheaper consumer stuff. But they did a really good job on the last version of PlayStation figures. So I'm interested to see Todd's take on that, because he's just going to up it basically from what they did. So should be cool.
Yeah,
and then Star Wars also, I think, showed off a couple little things. And Marvel had a reveal of a Smart Hulk from like the 90s. So if you're a fan of Hulk with the gun and the pink bunny slippers, they're doing that, right, which is crazy.
I did see that.
That was a deep cut that I was surprised that they were doing. And if you do pick up that Hulk, it comes with the Marvel vs. Capcom head for the Ultimate Hulk that just came out not too long ago. So pretty cool.
Yeah, this Toy Fair was a movie. It sounds like, and you know what's crazy? I didn't even realize it was right at the corner. But
yeah,
the other thing I wanted to mention is this was announced a little bit before the Toy Fair happened. But they also I saw that the Marvel Legends are coming out with a freaking Onslaught and a Frog.
Yeah, so Throg is going to be included with the Ultimate Edition of Thor that they showed off.
Right,
the new Thor looks epic. This is going to be the first time that they're going to do a wired cape. Marvel Legends has not done wired capes yet in the line, so this Thor is the first one that's going to have it. And yeah, Throg is one of the accessories that come with it. It's a really cool Thor figure. You can swap it out with different heads and different hair and helmets and stuff like that. All kinds of effects for the hammer and flying and lightning and everything. And then yeah, Onslaught is a re-release of a previous figure that came out I think when the Legends line pretty much started. So we're looking like 10 years plus now at this point. So it was due for an update, and Onslaught's going to be on a retro card, and it's going to be a Target exclusive. So that'll be fairly easy to pick up, I feel like, if that's something you're looking for. For me, Onslaught's in that weird window of X-Men in the 90s that I had no interest in. That's kind of when like the Jim Lee era ended, and then they went into like that new era where they were trying like batshit crazy stuff. And for me, like Onslaught, Primal Wolverine, like that is some of the horrible 90s shit that they did in X-Men. So I usually skip over that era for me. But it's cool for people who are like into that stuff. And then, yeah, by them showing off Magic in the Secret Wars line, the guys kind of hinted at the fact that we will be getting a full New Mutants team to put together. So Sunspot is out already. We'll get Magic to go with him. Doug and Cannonball will be coming out down the line this year. And then my guess is Danny, Moonstar, and Boom Boom will be like another figure that'll come out that you'll be able to complete that team pretty quickly. So that's pretty cool. They asked for recommendations if there's anything like people are looking for or teams that people want to complete to let them know. That's really something cool about the Legends team. Dan Yoon, who's part of that team, does a fantastic job like interacting with people, talking to people, and just trying to see what they can do to make things better. So it's really, really cool when you see that, you know what I mean, from those type of companies. And then the other thing from Hasbro that I didn't talk about, and I don't even have like the reveals in front of me, it was a bunch of G.I. Joe stuff. G.I. Joe Classifieds has been hammering it home too.
There was a bunch of G.I. Joe shit.
And they really, like, if you're a Classified fan, they just keep adding more and more stuff every time. And they really, like, if you remember the line from like being a kid in the 3.75 versions, they like jump around, so it's not just like they're doing classic stuff. They're incorporating stuff from like the later 90s and, you know, the early 2000s and stuff like that.
They
that
had
was
a
like from when we were
fucking
kids.
Snake Eyes that was like a girl Snake Eyes.
Well, yeah, Dawn Moreno, she's gonna be coming out she's the debut. Yeah.
I didn't even know that. My G.I. Joe lore is like so bad. So like I didn't even know that was a thing.
Larry Hama has been writing the G.I. Joe book for the longest time. When Skybound got the rights to G.I. Joe, they basically split G.I. Joe into two properties. They let Larry Hama continue writing the original G.I. Joe book, which is the Real American Hero book, and then we got the Energon book, which is a totally new take on G.I. Joes that ties in with Transformers. So Dawn is a character that Larry Hama created when Snake Eyes was dead. Basically, this girl whose family worked for Cobra and she was on the Cobra facilities basically gets implanted with Snake Eyes memories and becomes a version of Snake Eyes, basically.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
And Dawn now is like a fully fleshed out character on her own right, and is basically part of like the Ninja Squad in G.I. Joe. So yeah, they actually let Larry Hama himself reveal it at Midtown Comics. They had one of the G.I. Joe team members there with him, and he was doing his signing, and during his signing, he actually got to reveal the first Dawn Moreno action figure. So I thought that was pretty awesome.
Well, yeah, I think that's everything we have on our news thing, unless I'm missing anything.
Yeah, we had a lot to cover, but I think we did it.
Yo, it was a jam-packed weekend. I felt like this week, we just said earlier before the pod, the weekend felt like a whole week. So
yeah, with Valentine's Day and everything coming up, I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was busy and productive.
For sure, that was definitely the thing. But yeah, y'all, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This has been another great episode of Talking Supes. Again, I want to remind everybody to make sure that you like and subscribe.
Yes,
if you
please.
stuck around this long, please hit that like button on the bottom there for us. It'll be greatly appreciated. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. I hope you guys have a great week. Peace.